hear that a rather famous ex-Prime Minister then made an appearance and met with Jonathan. And that kind of got the ball rolling, so to speak.
Yeah, it first came on, I think he visited one of John's sites, and then it kind of went from there, really. They had a big issue in London at the time, and Transport for London, along the lines of people being hit by bin trucks on cycle lanes and things like that because of the blind side you couldn't really see. So it started along with, what can we put this in the Boris bikes in London, and then we put the sensors in the bin trucks or the buses or any of the heavier vehicles driving around London town centre. And then, that's where it kind of spiraled off from there then. That's where the limit of those kind of sensors and that technology kind of hit its end, in a sense, where every 6 feet in London there's a bollard, or there's a flower box, or there's something, or there's all of these sensors were constantly pinged because they were radar based.
Okay, so welcome to the latest episode of Sim's Making It Happen podcast. This week, we're really lucky to have one of my customers with us. My name's Sam. I'm from the sales team at Sims International, and I'll be hosting this podcast today. Like I say, I've got one of my customers on today, a chap called Lee Summers, who works for a really, really exciting company called Safety Shield Global, who are rapidly growing and have done loads over the last few years. Really exciting stuff. So Lee is currently the operations manager there at Safety Shield. So we've invited him on today to have a chat and just let us know what they're doing and where they're heading. So welcome, Lee.
Morning, how are we doing? You good?
Very well, thank you. You okay?
Yeah, good. Cheers. It's the first time I've done anything like this, so looking forward to it. Let's do it.
We'll just have a chat. Like I say, it's great that we know each other. We work together, with you being one of Sim's customers. So, yeah, do you just want to give us a bit of an introduction, a bit of a background into who Safety Shield are and what it is you do? That'd be great.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So Safety Shield are a AI, human form recognition detection company. Basically, our bag is to work in and around construction machinery and heavy plant. So we manufacture and we test and we deploy systems that essentially look for the human form within a certain range of heavy machinery. So excavators, dump trucks, ADTs, bulldozers, you name it. So the idea is to provide the system that allows operators to know if there's somebody near the machine, essentially, is the long and short of it. So if you go within a certain distance, it'll alert the operator. It can alert the person outside the machine by an external alarm. So there's a whole different setup of configurations and bits and bobs like that. So it seems to be the kind of next latest and greatest thing that's coming into construction to ultimately save lives is what we're trying to do.
Excellent. And obviously you use a lot of AI. I know that's a big buzzword at the moment, especially in the IT channel where we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So mainly focused around AI to kind of get to where you need to be with those safety parameters, which is great. We can come onto that in a bit more detail a bit later, but really interesting to hear your story about how it was born and how Safety Shield kind of came to light, because it's quite an interesting story with your founder. If you wouldn't mind just kind of letting us know what happened there, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've got it. It's kind of, you could probably write a book about it, to be honest. So our CEO and founder, Jonathan Guest, he's kind of been at this a long time now. He's a proper working lad, grew up in Wigan, forged his own company doing pipe works and laying stuff like that for a good long while, built his company up to a massive kind of part of the industry, especially in the Northwest. And ultimately, the long and short of it is one of his very good friends got crushed by a machine on a job, lost his life, unfortunately, and then it all kind of spiraled from there. So, yeah, it's a cracking story, really. It all started with basic kind of levels of tech going way back when now, where it was all RFID or kind of, what's the kind of word to use? It's all parameter based. So you would have tags in people's helmets or in their jackets, and you'd have like a warning system in an excavator, say. So when that tag got too close to that machine, it it would ping off audible noises and say basically, well, you're too close to the machine. And John was one of the first people to kind of bring that in to kind of raise that awareness of, the people in the plant interface, as it's called in the industry, and reduce those risks associated with being near these machines that are 20, 30, 40, 50 ton. So,
sure, yeah. Dangerous. So the obviously really quite sad with the way that it came about, but obviously Jonathan kind of made it his mission to go out and make sites safer for people, right? With all this heavy plant machinery around. You mentioned that was it RFID tag system?
Yeah, it works on it's like a proximity sensor. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, essentially it sits there on the person and it sits at the other end, and if you go too close, it alerts that somebody's too close to the machine, or you set the distance X, Y, and Z. So the idea is it's to stop people being hit by boom arms, reversed over, etc. So yes, quite a revolutionary piece of tech. It's still being used today in a lot of areas. So
well, and he built that from scratch, and he kind of patented that and developed it into what it is now.
Yeah, it was kind of one of the first use cases of it. Yeah, in the UK. So it's quite impressive, really.
Really, really interesting. No, that's great. And I hear that a rather famous ex-prime minister then made an appearance and met with Jonathan. And
so
that kind of got the ball rolling, so to speak.
Yeah, it first came on. I think he visited one of John's sites, and then it kind of went from there. Really, they had a big issue in London at the time, and Transport for London along the lines of people being hit by bin trucks on cycle lanes and things like that because of the blind side you couldn't really see. So it started along with what can we put this in the Boris bikes in London, and then we put the sensors in the bin trucks or the buses or any of the heavier vehicles driving around London town centre. And then that's where it kind of spiraled off from there. Then that's where the limit of those kind of sensors and that technology kind of hit its end, in a sense where every 6 feet in London there's a bollard, or there's a flower box, or there's something, or there's all these sensors were constantly pinged because they were radar based. They were constantly going mental, so didn't quite work, and that's where the journey kind of started. Then is what can we do? How can we take this off? How can it kind of go and grow from there, essentially? So. Yeah, that's where the AI journey kind of started there then. So
that's Boris Johnson's greatest triumph in my eyes, that he started a global journey into AI and into kind of moving your systems forward. No, that's great. And and you've won a few awards, innovation awards and King's Awards and other bits and bobs. So you must be really making waves and getting noticed. So if you could let us know a little bit about kind of what you guys have won, what you've achieved over the last few years, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, without coming across kind of big-headed or blowing smoke up the company or anything like that. Yeah, what
we want to hear it. We want to hear it.
Yeah, it's mental. I mean, I came in the company September last year, so I've been here just a year now. And I think within the first week, maybe 12 weeks, I must have been to like 3 or 4 awards where we were winning this left, right, and centre. There's some big construction awards in there as well. But I think I suppose the kind of cream of the crop really was winning the King's Award for Innovation this year. So John got a day in London, met the King. We've got some great pictures of him up on the wall with meeting Charlie. And it's just kind of a big feather in the cap for the company and what we're trying to do as a team and as a collective. And ultimately, we're trying to save lives, alter the industry, make it a little bit safer, and innovate at the same time. So, yeah, it's a hell of an achievement. Everyone's super proud of it. We're getting the award presented to us by one of King Charles's blokes in the next, I think it's next week. So,
oh wow,
that'll be quite interesting. They come down to the office, they present it to you, you get a big plaque to put on the wall. So,
you guys should be really proud. That's really huge, and just shows kind of the commitment to what Jonathan and yourselves are doing there, and kind of the innovation and ultimately the lives that you're saving.
That's it. That's what it's around. The industry as a whole is kind of jumping on board with it now and seeing the potential of the systems like these have, so much so that there's there's people popping up in the market left, right, and centre now, which is great. Competition's healthy. We like to we're a good way ahead. We want to kind of carry on innovating and pushing our R&D department into new and next levels to refine what we've got and make it even more user friendly, more usable, more accurate, just more of the same. What can we do to pioneer and innovate the next bit? There's some really interesting stuff on the cards which I can't talk about as much as I would love to.
We love an exclusive podcast.
Yeah, that's it. We're trying to push. We're really trying to push the boundaries with what's possible. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys keep raising the bar, and you keep, just with the technology, let alone what it is that you're trying to achieve. So yeah, really good to hear that you guys are pushing forward. I know that we've spoken in the past about just how fast you've grown. Would you say that since you became Safety Shield Global a few years ago, is that when you started kind of looking into the AI side of it and kind of moving away?
So that was so John's bag has always been construction. Like we said before, he's been in that game since a young lad. So we thought, you'd be amazed how many people are actually injured and killed by construction machinery in the UK. I think the stats were released not too long ago, and in the last 2 years, there's been nearly 80, 90 deaths by, I think it's more than that. I think it's about 127 and 80 or 90 by moving machinery and moving objects.
It's quite shocking.
So it's a staggering number when you think that the UK we're all like, it's health and safety mad, it's bonkers, but we're still having people lose their lives to machinery that is this size. It's absolutely staggering, really. So that kind of journey was when John was like, right, okay, I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go, all in with the construction side of things. And then it was a case of refining the model. There was AI systems out there back then. There's models that were very, very much in the infancy, which were great at detecting people in, CCTV scenarios, in office buildings, walking down corridors. But then to take that technology and refine it into something that can work on a construction site was absolutely mental at the time. I think where it's come from now and from where it was to where it is now is that you had issues with different colours of PPE, for example, like some sites wear yellow, some wear orange, some wear like pink and blue. It's absolutely bonkers. And you've got the change in seasons and the change in terrain. So getting it to accurately detect people, or the human form, should we say, is that somebody's head, or is it just a helmet that's lay on the top of a wall? It's all those little bits where the journey's been staggering now to the system we have now is 99.6% accurate. So every time you walk past that machine, it's going to get you. It gets partial limbs and features as well, because a lot of injuries are caused by like crushed arms or legs or little bits and bobs like that. So it detects partial human form as well. It's frightening. it's the possibilities of where it's come from is absolutely nuts.
It is, and it's great that there's businesses like yourselves who are kind of fighting against that and trying to make it better, safer, and I guess ultimately easier for the firms that are running these machines, because if they're out there knowing that there's a very, very slim chance of someone coming up with a heavy plant machine and getting into trouble, then obviously it's easier for them to then get their staff out there confidently and know that they can get on with the job, kind of thing.
That's it. It's absolutely, even in the time that I've been here now, you've seen the kind of the attitude towards it change, which is really, really interesting. How it's at first, I mean, speaking from my experiences, a lot of people weren't quite, I'm not going to say not interested, but it's new technology, it's something different, very, very wary of it, to then trialing it and adopting it and going, hang on a minute, there's something here. This could be like the next kind of big thing to promote safety on site. And then they kind of go through that phase now, and a lot of people now are interested in the data that this system spits out, because it does all sorts of stuff where if you do get incursions, it logs where it is on a GPS location. It tells you all the time of the day. It gives you whether it was a serious or a not so serious, should we say, incursion, whether it's an inner or an outer zone incursion, because the system has different zones you can set up for different distances.
Right.
Now, different companies use completely different specifications. So, for example, if you're out in a field doing earthworks with a big 50, 60 ton machine, there should be nobody ever anywhere near that. So your exclusion zone may be 10, 15 meters. But then on the contrary, you have house builders which are driving up and down roads with telehandlers, which the confinements of the site are really tight. So the zones are different, and the inner zones are smaller, and the outer zones are smaller. So the kind of the data that gets spat out from this system tells you where your sites may have issues, or where there needs to be some kind of familiarization or training, or it's come full swing within a year, which is, I've never seen anything like it before. I mean, I've been in the tech side of things for a long time now, and it just seems like it's on another level with what's available and how you can interpret that information.
And is this all your own software that you guys build in-house and develop from the ground up?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so we've got some serious kit for training models and doing all sorts of jazz. It's interesting. Some of the stuff we're trying to do with it now is way beyond what anything is even being moderately discussed about in the industry. So we're keeping it very, very quiet, because we want to just go, right, here you go, here's what it does, and here's it working. We're not going to say here's what we're working on, it's kind of taking it to that next level.
No, that's really good. So most people that will be watching this from our regular viewers will know Sims International. What we do is memory and storage. We're a hardware distributor, so that's where we work together. Just stepping away from the software side of things, just looking, kind of delving into the hardware. How is it that you guys look at the R&D and make decisions on the kind of hardware that you need and who you choose to work with and stuff like that? Is it what does that journey look like?
Yeah, it's a long one. It stretches. I mean, it's very kind of, I'm not going to say it's red tape, because we ultimately make the decision between ourselves, but it's very technical focused, because we're working in an industry and an environment which is harsh. You get all weathers, you get frost, you get minus temperatures, you get guys with jet washes blasting these machines down. So anything we put in these systems has to be bulletproof almost. It has to be automotive grade. It has to be the top end stuff. So yeah, I mean, the stuff, the bits and bobs you supply to us, we've got a long standing relationship from when I used to work with you in a previous company as well. So just the service you guys offer and the products you offer and the wide range of it with the biggest manufacturers in the world, it's just a no-brainer, isn't it? It makes sense for us to kind of use you guys as our supplier and fit the bits that we fit in our system from yourselves, because it does what it does and it's solid. So yeah, that ultimately for us that kind of product pathway is, can you hit it with a hammer and it still be all right? is the kind of the pathway we take it on, because it's going to get battered. It's, if you stuck one of these systems on like a roller that would flatten asphalt on a road, the kind of stress it goes through that when the drums are vibrating is bonkers. So the fact that we've got so many out there that are standing the test of time, and there you go. That's all the proof you kind of need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess really, bar kind of a war zone, you don't really get a much harsher environment than a building site, do you? Really, with the the industrial levels that go on there, and just the ruggedness that you require in your systems. I guess means that you have to go and source really, really particular parts that do a job for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. And I just wanted to touch briefly again on the AI, just because I know it's something that everyone's talking about at the moment. And for us as a business, we know that AI requires loads of storage, because there's loads going on behind the scenes with all these apps, applications and everything else that they do. Just talk me through kind of how you've brought AI into these systems and where you see it going. You don't have to go into too much detail about the future and what you're trying to do, but just how much it's made a difference and how much it's made it easier for you to get to the levels that you need to be at for like 99.9% success rate.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. It started with essentially analysing videos and pictures manually. It's if we go right back to the start, we had footage from our machines at the very, very kind of early systems, which were capturing video all the time as part of their day-to-day operation. And then it was a case of, okay, does this picture have a person in it? Yes. Does this one have a person in it? Yes. Does this one? No? And it started at that point where it's like training that model to go, yes, this is a person, because and on that site, like we alluded to before, it was completely different. We're not in a car park, we're not in a corridor where it's bright lighting and everything's perfect.
Yeah.
So anything, all those kind of baseline systems, they needed training and they needed work to get them to even detect somebody in those areas and those kind of environments. And then it kind of grew from there then, and then we built models off that to test them automatically. And then anything they weren't sure about then required a human kind of intervention. And then now it's a whole other level now where we've got systems in place where we can fly through thousands of training material videos, which we've got terabytes and terabytes stored, essentially, which we've partnered with some people to take them and go, right, okay, we'll use this as our archive to develop it more and more. So I think when we started this journey 5 or 6 years ago now, we started around the 50-60% accuracy mark. And then it's just gone up and up and up and up to the point where we are now. And for the last 18 months, 2 years, I'd say we've been around that 99.6 mark for a bit of a while now. Wow. I'd love to crack 100%, but I don't think it's possible.
I know, if you keep going the direction you are, like you say, I mean, if you've got hours and hours and hours of footage and data that. It's basically machine learning, right? Your software.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
exactly what it needs to say.
That's exactly it. We're getting it to train itself, essentially now, and that's kind of what has been the big change in AI. You know, ChatGPT has probably been around longer than I feel like it's been around, and all those kind of bits and bobs now. And you've got the likes of Claude and Microsoft Copilot. They're all kind of jumping into that game now. I think kind of the big push across the world in AI has just made it, I'm not going to say made it easier for us, but there's certainly more tools out there now that if we were to kind of repeat our journey now, it would probably take us half the time. It probably maybe even a third of the time to get to where we are now, because all these systems exist where you can pretty much get anything you want out of them now. It's frightening, really.
I mean, and that's the advancement in innovation. I guess it's only going to get more and more and more advanced. I guess you've got to remember, this all came from an idea, or this all came, there was a catalyst that started this journey with Jonathan. And, yes, it might have been a quicker journey 6 years ago, but you were in a place where it was born, where you started it, and obviously it's just developed and developed, and it's got a higher rate over the years to where you are now. So you don't have to share any names, but in terms of customers, what does that look like for you now? I know we spoke before, and you said it's gone bonkers, I think were your words. I know that it's grown really quickly, but is this are you now a brand or a company that major players out there in plant are aware of and are approaching, and they want to work with you because actually they've realised how important this is to what they do?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the fact that how many kind of competitors have popped up in the last 12, 18 months is kind of credit to that. But there's some seriously, you'd only need to search Google for plant hire companies and you'd find all the top ones in there. And there isn't many, if any, that we're not working with. We're working on a lot of stuff directly with some of the big OEMs as well. So, again, I can't go into too much detail. Can't give all the secrets away, but it is becoming that kind of big thing, and I see this in the next 3 or 4 years where this will be like, for example, like an auto braking thing in your car, or a front detection. Like every car you get in these days has a warning if you get too close to the vehicle in front of you. Yeah, it's going to become that. I think in the next 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be kind of just a part and parcel of it. Yeah, we're doing a lot of work with the CITB, the Construction Industry Training Board. Mm-hmm. And they already have systems installed on their training machines. So all the kind of up and coming operators that are going through their tickets and certifications now are operating machines with our system on, which is quite a proud thing for us. It's the future generation of machine drivers are already learning with machines that have our kit fitted.
Yeah,
it's quite, again, it is bonkers. I've never kind of been part of a company that is making change so fast, and it's industry wide as well. Like the interest we're getting globally, is just it's nuts. It's nuts.
And the ice and the cake. Everyone, we're all here for the same reason. We're all working to become successful, in what we do. But the icing on the cake is you're saving lives. Yeah, like what you do makes
that's it.
Huge difference.
That's kind of part of it for me, is we're actually making a difference. It is making a huge difference, and the sites are changing, minds are changing, behaviours are changing, all for the sake that this system's on there. Is like, these guys, you've got to think, have probably been in this industry 30, 40 years, some of them coming towards the end of the careers. You've got technical levels all the way from they don't know what a laptop is and never want to see one, all the way up to really, really technical people, and they're all, this system is so simple in the way it works that they're all kind of coming around to the fact that it's like, hang on a minute, at first it was a nuisance because it's different and it's something new, and then you'll have your naysayers and you have people who are all for it, but when they get around it and they use it, they just become so blasé to being around these big heavy machines that they've done for all their lives. And it's just like, hang on a minute, for me, who's come from, I'm a nerd, I've come from a tech background and data centers and stuff like that, for me to be stood next to a 30 or even a 20-ton machine, and I'm like, I don't want to go near that. But these guys have done it all. They've done it all their lives, so it just kind of highlights the fact that, just step away. The chances, it's just not worth it. So
no, that's really, really good. Do you think that this? I mean, I guess it's likely, but do you think it's become a requirement that all heavy plant at some point will need to have some kind of
absolutely? I think we're already well on the way to that. A lot of the big contractor companies are starting to mandate HFR systems now, and a lot more are kind of following suit. So some of the bigger ones put mandates in last year, January and July, and then the next ones, there's more following. So by the time, I think it's mid next year, a lot of the supply chains for these big contracting firms, they're saying, look, you have to have HFR on there. It's becoming almost like you're not going to get away with not having it. So every machine that is on those sites has to have a safety shield or equivalent HFR system on there. So,
and that's is that all aftermarket? Is it something that's done, or is there some that are now being integrated when they're developed and manufactured?
I'm going to swerve that question. So we do have a really large team of fitters, which has tripled since I joined last year.
Right.
So we do a lot of kind of aftermarket fit to machines. So it depends. Generally, it depends on the customer requirement. We're fitted to some systems to like Kubota ATVs, like little side by sides, all the way up to real big earthworking machineries in quarries and bits and bobs like that. So it really depends on the kind of customer's requirement as to what gets fit. But we do have a massive aftermarket division that will, if you want a system on something, we'll find a way. They're all proper engineers. So so they'll build bespoke systems for what's required. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Perfect, brilliant. Well, I think we've covered most that we can about Safety Shield, and like I always say to you, I think it's a really, really interesting and really good business that you guys have there, and everything that you're doing. What's next for you? What does the next kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 year plan look like for you?
Yeah, you know what, the company has a 3 and a 5 year plan. I think the way everything's going absolutely crazy at the minute is it's just kind of roll with it, and let's see what we've got our kind of R&D and our development pathway written out, and we know what we're doing and what we're trying to do. And ultimately it's pushing that innovation and pushing that kind of, how can we use what we've got to have more of an impact. and then there's other bits and bobs in the pipeline as well, which will change the game as well equally, which I can't really discuss. But yeah, let's see. It's been a crazy journey in this last year just for me. So yeah, it's been good. So we'll see what happens.
Good stuff. Well, Sims, on the behalf of Sims and myself particularly, I wish you all the success with everything that you and
Thank you.
are doing there, and we'll continue to work together and hopefully help you where we can with the innovation and what's coming next. So yeah, thanks a lot for your time, Lee. Really appreciate it, and like I always say, a really, really interesting story, which is great to hear. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Good stuff.